episode of Bible Bladed News. I will be reading from my X account while also talking about some knives that I've recently acquired. So do stay tuned and do click that like button if you do enjoy this type of content. I thought about a way that I could make some content, and this is actually what came to my mind. Some kind of oversaturated program where I'm going to be talking about knives, reading from my X account, and also be taking a look at news and also be answering any questions about the Bible that you may have that is within my ability to answer. So please do stay tuned and do click that like button if you find this useful. So first I want to talk about a knife that I bought earlier in the year, which is this one. So this one was from a local craftsman, and it was actually a lady that was, so it's a crafts lady, I suppose. So I bought this from a local crafts lady, and we spent about 400 pesos on this knife. We did actually have to adjust the handle a bit because the handle was a bit too hard to grasp, because the edges of the handle actually hurt my hand. But overall, this is actually a very solid knife, and we bought this for 400 pesos. But the problem with this is you can actually see the quality isn't great. It's got a lot of rust because we are in the Philippines. In the tropical climate, it is actually very common for these high carbon steel blades to get a bit of rust on them. So this is something completely expected. I did actually try to clean it up a bit, but you can see it didn't actually work that well. And onto the next blade. This is a blade that my wife got us last weekend, and I'm very happy with this one. She actually bargained. She actually had a bargain with the vendor. It was actually a rice vendor that sold this to us, and he was selling this for about 750 pesos. My wife bargained with him, and she got the price down to about 500 pesos. And as you can see, this is a beautiful knife. I believe this is made out of 440 stainless steel, and that is quite a durable type of stainless steel that you get. Obviously, high carbon blades are a lot stronger than stainless steel, but for this climate on a tropical island, I would go with 440 stainless steel. As you can see, there is no rust on this, and this has been at the same market for a very long time. A lot of the other high carbon steels blades that she did have had a lot of rust on them, and so obviously this was the pick of the litter. They had about 3 or 4 of these, and when I did take a look at it, and I did look it up, it actually comes from a American crafts company or manufacturer, and they sell it for about 150 to 220 US dollars online, and I was very happy with that purchase. Moving on to the next phase of our little live, we will be talking about some comments on my X. So you can find me at BstarAndSaidA on Twitter, and we will be reading from some Twitter posts. Let's take a look at what's going on. So we have Pope Respector, and Pope Respector says, several of the biggest heresies in history at the time would have been thought to be the conservatives in the debate. For example, the Donatists. So several different heresies in histories at the time would have been thought to be the conservatives in the debates. For example, the Donatists, the Iconoclasts, the Jansenists. If you are justifying your rebellion against the Pope based on being the conservatives, beware. So this is something that we should really think about, right? What is conservative? What is liberal? In my mind, that is part of a modern system, right? Part of the liberal democratic system. When they ushered in the liberal democratic system, what happened is that we actually had a spectrum develop within that system, where we have conservatives and liberals. But the actual thing of this is the conservatives actually only conserve liberalism, and we see this in America a lot. For instance, you have the Conservative Party, which is now pro-gay marriage, and they actually believe in abortion, but they do actually want some restrictions for abortion. And so the Christian framework doesn't allow for that. And so a lot of people are pushing Christian nationalism, where they want the society that they live in to be governed under Christian principles. And this is actually very important, right? Because this is actually against what conservatives believe. A lot of conservatives have a 90s mentality where they have like this American Pie, porn, brain rot mentality going on, right? Where they want chicks, guns, and booze, and that doesn't actually work well, okay? What we want as Christians in society is to be governed under Christian principles and Christian law. No abortion. We don't want sexual promiscuity to be promoted in media. We want our children to be raised with Christian values, and that is what we want as a Christian society. For those of you that just popped in, feel free to leave a message, and I'll go over my blades again because you missed the blade portion, and I really love talking about these knives that I've got. I've got 2 so far, and I actually want to collect some more. You can see this is the first knife that I've got in the Philippines, and it is not good quality, okay? You can see the rust on it because this is high carbon steel. We bought this from a local craftsperson, a woman that actually was a blacksmith, and she was busy grinding these blades away. And although this blade is more durable than the next one I'm going to show you, it clearly isn't made for the tropical climate with a lot of humidity and moisture. It actually is very bad to own a high carbon blade if you don't have experience. And so I do recommend something like this, which is made out of 440 stainless steel, which is a durable type of stainless steel, right? And it's a very pretty knife. And if you leave a comment, I may even tell you where to buy this. And I got this for very cheap. Okay. There you go. So this knife, I'm very pleased with. The only issue that I do have with this one, right, is it's a chopping knife. So I like, for instance, the Gladius, right? Or tactical Gladius knives. I think that is a very pretty knife, and I think it's actually a lot lighter than this. This is more akin to an axe. And that is, I want to talk about my knives, which I enjoy a lot. Okay, I must still sharpen this one a bit and take it for a bit of a practice on the backyard, but it really needs some sharpening. So we'll continue with reading some X-posts. It is incredibly hot here. You can actually see my face sweating a bit. So I'm going to make this about 15 minutes or so. I think that's as much as I can take off this heat before I go to the room with the AC. So please do stick with me until that time. And do click that like button if you haven't clicked the like button yet. Okay? We will talk more about news on X and global news. You can pop in a question if you'd like as well. This is a Q&A. Ask me anything that you want to ask me. Hey buddy. Hey Sadiq. Sadiq, how's it going, bro? How's it going there in the Cape Town? I am actually South African. Many people don't know this. I moved to the Philippines last year. It was around August or September. And I left many of my friends behind. And it's actually such a great experience for me here. And I don't actually feel homesick yet. But yeah, there are many cool people back home that I do think of every now and then. And Sadiq, you are one of them. I hope everything has gone well and that you are married and very happy. Remember to take your time in marriage, right? Because women, they can give you a lot of stress sometimes, right? So women are meant to shape us and make us stronger, you know? It's like being in a furnace. You're being knocked. Like, for instance, bringing the knife into the situation again. A knife is forged, right? It takes a beating, and so it becomes stronger and it becomes more beautiful. And that's what our relationships with people often is. It becomes like that, right? You can see this bloody sweat running from my nose here because of this heat. It's quite hectic. So let's read some more news. Let's see what the Daily Mail has. Apparently in South Africa, our governing party has swapped presidents or something. I need to really check that out, which is quite interesting if they made the president step down and they put somebody else in there. But okay, let's see. British news, not interested. Skydiver, not interested. Meghan Markle can't cook. Okay, not interested. Obviously, she doesn't look like she can cook. Britain's richest TV couples from pairing, you'd never guess. Okay, not interested in celeb news. Let's see what's going on with the war. Oh, that's horrible. It's just relationship news, and this heat is killing me. Okay. Battle of the political pinups. Stunning Lib Dem leader and champion boxer both vie to woo the voters for election. So yeah, in Britain things are very unstable. Britain does not know how to deal with the population that they currently have because they have a very diverse population. It's the first time in their history that they've actually had to deal with something like this. And so they are too scared to get their feet wet. What they need to do is look at countries that's already built up and dealt with a lot of issues that they're currently dealing with. For instance, like Saudi Arabia and Qatar. For instance, there's a lot of radicals in their communities, and the way that a lot of successful Middle Eastern countries have dealt with that is something that they really need to look into before it's too late. Trump unveils new impressions that make Melania very upset during Alabama college commencement speech. So here Trump is making figures again. For instance, he used to, I don't want to say this because many people are going to be offended, but he actually likes to make figures of people that are disabled. And I think he's at it again and he's making fun of women, it seems, in this picture. It's quite funny. Let's see, majority, 60,000. Okay, this is very dull. Let's see what's going on in the USA. So currently in the USA, it should be around 3 a.m. So people are still busy waking up in the US. Oh gosh, it's so bloody hot. Everybody's interested in what's happening in the US because at the end of the day, the most powerful nation in the world is America. And we can't really have major issues with that, right? Because it's just the way that it is. Empires fall, empires rise all the time. And right now, the US is the empire to watch. China was making a lot of strides and they were actually going to be the #1 nation in this world. If things went the way that it did, that would have been in another 10 to 20 years. But right now, with these tariffs, China is falling apart. They also have a very old population. They have a very low birth rate, like many of these countries. And in a prolonged financial conflict or financial war with the US, they would lose the way that things are now. And so a lot of countries, for instance, in South Africa, we're in the BRICS, right? And now, to our advantage would be to make be on friendlier terms with the US. The US, I believe, has sanctioned South Africa, and this is quite weird because the reasoning is for the farm murders, for the persecution of the white farmers in South Africa. That's the rationale that they're using. And this has been actually something that's happened for the past 30 years, where a lot of politicians, they will go and they'll have a rally, and then violence or farm attacks will actually increase after that rally, because a lot of the language that they use is derogatory and it's anti-white people. And so this is a big issue for the white Afrikaans minority that live in secluded areas on farmlands. It's also a big issue for black farmers and for colored farmers because they also live in the same area, right? So it's advantageous primarily, and the secondary cause is obviously racism and hatred that a lot of impoverished black people have for the white Afrikaans people who they're all responsible for apartheid, okay? And so this is something that happens. Obviously, apartheid ended over 30 years ago, and we're supposed to be in the new South Africa now, and most of the people that's alive now, they did not, or they were not born during that time, right? But still, there's a lot of hatred and a lot of animosity, and you can imagine if somebody is raised in a very poor environment and he sees the people around him suffering, and everybody around that area, it looks like him, they're dark-skinned or they're black, and then they see, for instance, whenever they see a person of lighter pigmentation, or rather a white person, and they see that person is successful, then there's a lot of anger that they can have towards that person, right? Because that is the situation that they're born in, and it's largely due to the history of South Africa. But obviously, in the past 30 years, there's been a lot of governmental failure for the impoverished people. And they've pushed a lot of racist policies, for instance, black economic empowerment or broad-based black economic empowerment, and that hasn't worked well for South Africans, right? Because it increases racial animosity, because there are many minorities in South Africa, and then you see, for instance, a lot of the governments, a lot of children, they benefit from nepotism within the government. Their kids, they have the nicest cars and they have the nicest jewelry, and so it's a lot like what is that George Orwell book, with the farm, and then the pigs and the animals, they were first under the farmer, and then they gain power, and then they start creating a hierarchy in their own system, right? And then the pigs are in charge. And so that's kind of what happened in South Africa. The political class is now benefiting from all the laws that they put in place. They are using the race-based laws to advantage their own children, and then it just perpetuates poverty, because now you do have very educated young black people that can't find jobs, and then they're standing at the side of the road and they have degrees in engineering, and it doesn't make any sense. So the only sensible thing would have been to be economically based, right? Not race-based systems. It would be a system to empower those that have low economic status and come from low-income households, but that's not the route that they went. They went straight for race, and they made it a race-based system, and that's how it's been in South Africa for the past 30 years. And whenever it fails, they increase it. Like, for instance, like I said, you used to have BEE, and then BE became BEEE, and they keep on using a failed system and failed idea. Even if they had to use policies which benefited the minority, the impoverished, that would still benefit largely the black community, because the black community has suffered the most, right, when it comes to poverty. And then obviously colored people secondary, because colored people are also quite impoverished, or rather mixed race people in South Africa. We also have very little income, or come from low income households. It's very hard to get ahead, and this is how the cycle continues. So if they only had to move away from race-based policies and have policies that actually benefit the poor, things would be so much better. There would be very little racial animosity from minorities in South Africa towards the black community in regards to that, because obviously minorities can see the laws which benefit, for instance, the black people when it comes to work, and then they obviously have a lot of animosity towards black people, but it's not actually fair to do that, because the laws itself actually benefit the wealthier groups that are politically affiliated. So that's my thoughts on that. So hopefully one day we can get right, and we have stronger negotiations, stronger deals with the US, so that we can remove whatever sanctions they are planning to put in place on South Africa. And like I said, this farm attacks and farm murders have been going on for 30 years, and now they are only using it as a pretext for putting sanctions on South Africa. And this is actually after the ruling party, the ANC, lost power. And so I think this is absolutely crazy for that to be happening. It is extremely hot here. It's probably like around 35 degrees, 36 degrees Celsius. I'm going to be running for another 5 minutes. I want to really get good at doing these live streams, and so that I can actually engage with people. Feel free to leave a comment. Please do hit that like button, as it does help this little live stream to get out there. Okay, moving on to the next story that we have online. One of my friends is watching this, so I was going to make this a very religious-based video. But for him, I will try to roll back a little bit for now. At the end, we will get into some Bible. Okay, so right now we are in the Blades news, and at the end we will get into some Bible reading. Many people will actually have a lot of issues with the Bible reading, because I will be reading from the book of Tobit, and that isn't in the Protestant list of books that they normally go by. They actually reject Tobit and 6 other books as being uninspired, whereas Catholics, we hold to 73 books in our Bible. And I will be reading from one of those books that I think is actually a beautiful story about faithfulness to God and enduring in your faith, and being a good person, and that is the book of Tobit. So first, let us read a bit more. It is actually getting a bit cooler as the clouds cover the sun. I hope I can endure until I get to that reading. Let's see, what's next? So there's an epidemic of teachers, particularly women, that have been preying on young men or their schoolboys. And I think this is something so weird that teachers, female teachers that are married, have been going after school children. I don't see like the attraction to school children. Maybe it's like a power dynamics thing where they have a lot of power, and then that gets morphed into sexual gratification somehow by them targeting these schoolboys. But it's the same thing as an older man targeting younger woman, or an older male teacher targeting female students. That's the way that we must see it. I know there's a lot of jokes out there. For instance, if you see a 13-year-old boy hook up with a school teacher that's around 20 or 23, people think that's funny, but at the end of the day, it does impact that boy in a very negative way, because now you've warped his mind when it comes to relationship with women. Because now he doesn't see a woman as a partner for the future. He sees her as a person or a tool for sexual gratification. And we need to put an end to that if we want society to get better. Okay, let's see what else we have. Next story. Elon Musk protege, nicknamed Big Balls, breaks down his silence to reveal his crucial role at Doge. Okay, so he's got Elon Musk has this kid that's about 19 years old, and he's helping him run the Department of Government Efficiency in the USA. And I think it's actually a great idea. I wish we had this in South Africa, where 80% of our government money or tax money goes missing, and this would have actually helped us out quite a bit. But clearly the ruling party would be against it. Here we go, another news story. Prince of Wales joins King Charles and Queen Camilla at Buckingham Palace. Reception for Victoria and George Cross recipients one day after William and Kate's whirlwind anniversary trip. Okay, so King Charles is quite old, right? Let's just be real about this. King Charles is incredibly old, and his time on earth is actually quite limited. And so it's only a matter of time for his son William to take the throne. And I think that would probably happen in the next 5 to 10 years, in my opinion. Okay, moving on. For all you Catholics out there as well that's watching this, the conclave is supposed to happen on the 7th of May, and that is when the voting starts for who the next Pope is. So we hope that we actually get a very holy Pope, but it doesn't matter who the Pope becomes or who becomes the Pope, because at the end of the day, we as Catholics believe that the Holy Spirit guides the Church, and so regardless of what person sits on the chair of St. Peter, we will be fine. So we will survive for another 2,000 years. No worries, no concerns. Moving down. David Beckham kicks off 50th birthday early with wild family party at the lavish $10 million Cotswolds home, complete with late night swimming in tuxedos and expensive supercars. So here we have David Beckham throwing parties, and that's quite impressive for such an old man. So yes, I'm very happy that he's enjoying his life. Okay, so now let's get into the Bible portion. So we will be going to the book of Tobit, and we will be reading from that. And then later on I might clip this and make it into a short video. Let us see, book of Tobit. Dun, dun, dun. Here we go. So I love the story of Tobit and his son because it's a story of faithfulness to God. Okay, Tobit is a good person, and so we're just going to get into this. Okay, so I'm going to read from Tobit 1. This is the Revised Standard Version. Okay, the book of Acts of Tobit, the son of Tobiel, son of Aninal, son of Aduol, son of Gabial, of the descendants of Ashiel, and the tribe of Naphtali, who in the days of Salmanasar, king of the Assyrians, was taken into captivity from Sebe, which is the south of Kadesh Naphtali in the Galilee above Asher. So now we'll talk about Tobit's youth and virtuous life. I, Tobit, walked in the ways of truth and righteousness all the days of my life, and I performed many acts of charity to my brethren and countrymen who went with me into the land of the Assyrians, to Nineveh. Now, when I was in my own country, in the land of Israel, while I was still a young man, the whole tribe of Naphtali, my forefathers, deserted the house of Jerusalem. This was the place which had been chosen from among all the tribes of Israel, where all the tribes should sacrifice, and where the temple of the dwelling of the Most High was consecrated and established for all generations forever. Okay? All the tribes that joined in apostasy used to sacrifice to the calf. So if you remember the Bible story of sacrificing to the calf, when Moses was in the desert on the way to the promised land, he went up onto the mountains, and then a lot of the Israelites, they started worshipping a pagan god. And so that would be the calf that they are talking about. So getting back into that, all the tribes that joined in the apostasy used to sacrifice to the calf, Baal, and so did the house of Naphtali, my forefathers. But I alone went often to Jerusalem for the feasts, as it is ordained for all Israel by an everlasting decree, taken the first fruits and the tithes of my produce and the first shearings. I would give these to the priests, the son of Aaron, at the altar. Of all my produce, I would give a tenth to the sons of Levi who ministered at Jerusalem. A second tenth I would sell, and I would go out and spend the proceeds each year at Jerusalem. The third tenth I would give to those whom it was my duty, as Deborah, my father's mother, had commanded me, for I was left an orphan by my father. When I became a man, I married Anna, a member of our family, and by her I became a father to Tobias. So now taken to captivity in Nineveh. Now when I was carried away captive to Nineveh, all my brethren and my relatives ate the food of the Gentiles, but I kept myself from eating it. So it's a big thing for Jews to eat with Gentiles. Okay, it's a Jewish custom and Jewish dietary restrictions. They see Gentiles as being impure, and therefore they can't eat with them. Otherwise, they would be defiled. That is the way that they see things. Now, when I was carried away captive to Nineveh, all my brethren and my relatives ate the food of the Gentiles, but I kept myself from eating it, because I remembered God with all my heart. Then the Most High gave me favor and good appearance in the sight of Shalmaneser, and I was his buyer of provisions. So I used to go into Media. Now Media is where Arabia is today. It is the western side of Arabia. I left 10 talents of silver and trusted with Gabriel, the brother of Gabrias. But when Shalmaneser died, Sennacherib, his son, resigned in his place, and under him the highways were unsafe, so that I could no longer go into Media. So you could no longer travel into Arabia. Courage to bury the dead. In the days of Shalmaneser, I performed many acts of charity to my brethren. I would give my bread to the hungry and my clothes to the naked. And if I saw any one of the people dead, thrown out behind the wall of Nineveh, I would bury him. And if Sennacherib, the king, put to death any who came fleeing from Judea, I buried them secretly. So they didn't want the people buried, right? But he would in secret at night, he would go bury the people. So he would give them the dignity of a burial, okay? And if Sennacherib the king put to death any whom came fleeing from Judea, I buried them secretly, for in his anger he put many to death. When the bodies were sought by the king, they were not found. Then one of the men in Nineveh went and informed the king about me. Then I was burying them. So I hid myself when I learned that I was being searched for to put to death. I left home in fear. So now he's being chased. He's going to be put to death for giving people the dignity of a burial. Then all my property was confiscated and nothing was left to me except my wife Anna and my son Tobias. But not 50 days passed before two of Sennacherib's sons killed him. So now the king that was busy doing all this nonsense, his own sons killed him, right? And so now somebody else is going to come into power. Sons, mountains, confiscated, sons Tobias. But not 50 days passed before two of Sennacherib's sons killed him. And they fled to the mountains of Arat. Then Esarhaddon, his son, resigned in his place, and he appointed Ahikar, the son of my brother Anel, over the accounts of his kingdom and over the entire administration. Ahikar interceded for me, and I returned to Nineveh. Now Anikah was cupbearer, keeper of the signet, and in charge of the administration of the accounts for the Esarhaddon. He appointed him second to himself. He was my nephew. Okay, so now he's in the clear. His family members have now gained power within this kingdom. We will now move on to the next part of Tobit. So yeah, so this is Bible, Blades, and News. So we already covered the news. We are still busy with the Bible section. I ended off with the Bible section because one of my good friends, he was in the comments. I think he actually stopped watching now. If you are still watching, Sadiq, I hope you are enjoying, my friend. When I arrived at home, my wife Anna and my son Tobias were reported to me at the Feast of Pentecost, which is the sacred festival of the 7 weeks. A good dinner was prepared for me, and I sat down to eat. Upon seeing the abundance of food, I said to my son, "Go and bring whatever poor man of our brethren you may find, who is mindful of the Lord, and I will wait for you." So now he will feed the poor. So this is the type of person that Tobit is, right? He will bury people at the risk of his own life, okay? He will give his wealth to the church and to the community. And he will also feed the hungry. This is a great man, and this is a man that we should all seek to emulate. But he came back and said, "Father, one of our people has been strangled and thrown into the marketplace." So before I tasted anything, I sprang up and removed the body to a place of shelter until sunset. And when I returned, washed myself and ate my food in sorrow. Then I remembered the prophecy of Amos, who said, "Your feast shall be turned into mourning, and all your festivities into lamentation." And I wept. So now Tobit is going to suffer greatly, right? Here he loses his sight. When the sun had set, I went and dug a grave and buried the body. And my neighbors laughed at me and said, he is no longer afraid that he will be put to death for doing this. He once ran away, and here he is burying the dead again. So now the neighbors are mocking him for doing the right thing. But he still endures, and he still does the right thing. On the same night, I returned from burying him, and because I was defiled, I slept by the wall of the courtyard. So now he's ritually impure. He needs to see a priest, and that way he can be ritually cleansed because he came into contact with somebody who is dead. Okay? By the wall of the courtyard, and my face was uncovered. I did not know that there were sparrows on the wall, and their fresh droppings fell into my open eyes. So now the sparrows, their feces fell into his eyes, and white films formed on my eyes. I went to physicians, but they did not help me. Ahikar, however, took care of me until he went to Elamiah's. Okay, so Tobit loses his sight in a similar way, actually, to the way that the Apostle Paul in Acts 9 loses his sight. Because if you remember, when he was healed, a film, scales fell from his eyes. And so that is a similar way to the way that Tobit is being tested and being blinded here. Okay? Tobit's wife earns their livelihood. Then my wife Anna earned money at woman's work. She used to send the product to the owner. Once when they paid her wages, they also gave her a kid. And when she returned to me, it began to bleat. So a kid here would be a goat. Okay, it's not like kids from their work, from the people in charge, right? It's an animal that is bleating. So I said to her, "Where did you get the kid? Is it stolen? Is it? Return it to its owners, for it is not right to eat what is stolen." So even though he's blind, even though he's broke, he's still trying to live a proper life, and he's telling her, "Look, I can't take part in this. If this thing is stolen, give it back to who it's stolen from." And the wife said, "It was given to me as a gift in addition to my wages." But I did not believe her and told her to return to the owners, and I blushed for her. So he returned it to the owners. So obviously when he returns it to the owners, it's not stolen, it's a gift. And so now obviously he's blushed, he's ashamed of doubting his wife. "Where are your charities and your righteous deeds? You seem to know everything." Then she replied to me, "Where are your charities and your righteous deeds? You seem to know everything." Now, if you are a married person, hey, Lawrence, Valen, greetings. So here we see, okay, he's having some conflict with the missus, and obviously he shouldn't have doubted her, he should have believed his wife. That would be the right thing to do. But because of his concern of living a righteous life, he wanted to make sure that the goat or the sheep that they received that was bleating, that it wasn't stolen. So even though he's blind, even though he lost all his money, he's still a righteous person trying to do the right thing. Tobit's prayer. Then in my grief I wept, and I prayed in anguish, saying, "Righteous art thou, O Lord. All the deeds and all thy ways are mercy and truth, and thou dost render true and righteous judgment forever. Remember me and look favorably upon me. Do not punish me for my sins, and for unwitting offenses, and those which my fathers committed before me. For they disobeyed the commandments, and thou gavest us over to plunder, captivity, and death. Thou madest us a byword of reproach in all the nations among which we have been dispersed. And now thy many judgments are true in exact penalty from me for my sins and those of my fathers, because we did not keep thy commandments, for we did not walk in truth before thee. And now deal with me according to thy pleasure. Command my spirit to be taken up, that I may depart and become dust." So here Tobit actually is longing for death. So he wants his suffering to end. Okay, so he's asking the Lord to take him up. "For it is better for me to die than to live, because I have heard false reproaches, and great is the sorrow within me. Command that I now be released from my distress to go to the eternal abode. Do not turn thy face away from me." And so now we have Sarah is falsely accused. In the same day, at Akobatana in Medina, it also happened that Sarah, the daughter of Raguel, was reproached by the father's maid, because she had been given to 7 husbands, and the evil demon Asmodeus had slain each of them before he had been with her as his wife. So before the marriage was consummated, the demon destroyed each husband that tried to lay with Sarah. So the maid said to her, "Do you not know that you strangle your husbands? You already have had 7 and have not benefited from any of them. Why do you beat us? For they are dead. Go with them. May we never see a son or daughter of yours." So now even the maids curse at Sarah, and they accuse her of actually being the one that's guilty of strangling the husbands. But it's the demon Asmodeus. So here we go, Sarah's prayer for death. So while Tobit is busy praying for death and the end to his suffering, he's a righteous person, he wants to be taken up. Sarah is on the other side, also wanting the same thing. When she heard these things, she was deeply grieved, even to the thought of hanging herself. But she said, "I am the only child of my father. If I do this, I will be a disgrace to him, and I shall bring in his old age down in sorrow to the grave." So she prayed by her window and said, "Blessed art thou, O Lord my God, and blessed is thy holy and honored name forever. May all the works praise thee forever. And now, O Lord, I have turned my eyes and my face towards thee. Command that I be released from the earth, and that I can hear reproach no more. Thou knowest, O Lord, that I am innocent, and of, that I am innocent of any sin with man, and that I did not stain my name or the name of my father in the land of my captivity. I am my father's only child, and he has no child to be his heir, no near kinsman or kinsman's son whom I should keep myself as a wife. Already 7 husbands of mine are dead. Why should I live? But if it be not pleasing to thee to take my life, command that respect be shown to me, and pity be taken upon me, and that I hear reproach no more. And so now there's going to be an answer to their prayers. So now we'll see an answer to the prayer. That is the title, literally. The prayer of both was heard in the presence of glory of the great God. And Raphael was sent. So Raphael is an archangel. And Raphael was sent to heal the 2 of them, to scale away white films from Tobit's eyes. So here, you scale away the white films from Tobit's eyes. And again, like I said in Acts 9, when St. Paul is cured of blindness, something very similar happens to him. The scales fell from his eyes. To give Sarah, the daughter of Raguel, in marriage to Tobias, the son of Tobit, and to bind Asmodeus, the evil demon. Because Tobit was entitled to possess her, at the very moment Tobit returned and entered his house, and Sarah, the daughter of Raguel, came down from her upper room. So now the archangel Raphael has been given 3 missions. One is Tobit must be cured. The second is that Sarah's dignity must be restored. And the third is that the demon Asmodeus must be slain. Okay? So those are the 3 missions given to Raphael. Tobit gives instructions to his son. On the day Tobit remembered the money which he had lent, that he had left in trust with Gabael at Rages in Media, and he said to himself, I have asked for death. Why do I not call my son Tobias, so that I may explain to him about the money before I die? So now he's coming to mind, okay, there's some money that's back in Arabia. Why don't I send my son to go fetch this before I pass away? My son, when I die, bury me, and do not neglect your mother. Honor her all the days of your life. So even though he just had issues with his wife, he's like, son, you need to take care of your mom, right? Do what is pleasing to her, and do not grieve her. Remember, my son, that she faced many dangers for you while you were unborn. When she dies, bury her beside me in the same grave. Remember the Lord our God all your days, my son, and refuse to sin or to transgress his commandments. Live uprightly all the days of your life, and do not walk in the ways of wrongdoing. For if you do what is true, your ways will prosper throughout your deeds. So even though, to recap, Tobit is blind, Tobit is broke, Tobit has suffered a lot, right? He's been having issues with the missus. He has some shame, obviously, for doubting his wife, and he still tells his son to live a righteous and upright life, because he will prosper through his deeds. Give alms from your possession to all whom live uprightly, and do not let your eye begrudge the gift when you make it. Do not turn your face away from any poor man, and the face of God will not be turned away from you. If you have many possessions, make your gift from them in proportion. If you do not be afraid to give according to the little that you have. So even if you have little, give what little you have, right? If you have many possessions, little, so you will be laying up a good treasure for yourself against the day of necessity. For charity delivers from death, and keeps you from entering the darkness. And for all who practice it, charity is an excellent offering to the presence of the Most High. Beware, my son, for all immorality. First of all, take a wife. Beware, my son, of all immorality. First of all, take a wife from among the descendants of your fathers, and do not marry a foreign woman who is not of your father's tribe, for we are the sons of the prophets. Okay, moving down further. I'm so glad to actually finally have time to do these lives because my kid is sleeping. Even though it's hot and I'm cooking here, my face is literally turning red. This isn't the sun that's beaming and making me look red. This is actually my face turning red due to the heat. Ivo the V. Jesus Christ is King. Amen, brother. I hope you are well, and I hope you are living your best life. Wait, where was I? Here we go. Okay. Watch yourself, my son. Oh, wait. Uribai, verse 12. Beware, my son, of all immorality. First of all, take a wife from among the descendants of your fathers, and do not marry a foreign woman who is not of your father's tribe, for we are the sons of the prophets. Remember, my son, that Noah, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, our fathers of old, all took wives from among their brethren. They were blessed in their children, and their prosperity will inherit the lands, and their prosperity will inherit the lands. So now, my son, love your brethren, and in your heart do not disdain your brethren, and the sons and daughters of your people, by refusing to take a wife for yourself from among them. For in pride there is ruin and great confusion. And this takes us back to Samson, who took a wife from a foreign tribe. My battery is running a bit low, but I'm going to power through here. I just want to finish off with this chapter. And in shiftlessness, there is loss and great want, because shiftlessness is the mother of famine. Do not hold over till the next day the wages of any man who works for you, but pay him at once. And if you serve God, you will receive payment. Watch yourself, my son, in everything you do, and be disciplined in all your conduct. And what you hate, do not do to any, and what you hate, do not do to anyone. So this is also taking us back to the New Testament, where Jesus says, "Do unto others as you would have them do unto you." Do unto others as you would have done unto yours. Do unto others as you would have done unto you. Okay? And so this is in our relations with people. Okay? And this is actually found in the book of Tobit. Do not drink wine to excess, or let drunkenness go with you on your way. Give of your bread to the hungry, and of your clothing to the naked. Give all your surplus to charity, and do not let your eye begrudge the gift when you make it. So don't regret a gift that you give. Okay? Give in good faith. Give out of charity and out of love. Don't do it because you feel obligated to do it. Do it with love in your heart. Moving to the next one. Place your bread on the grave of the righteous, but give none to the sinners. Seek advice from every wise man. Do not despise any useful counsel. Bless the Lord God on every occasion. Ask him that your ways may be made straight, and that all your paths and plans may prosper. For none of the nations has understanding, but the Lord himself gives all good things, and according to his will he humbles whoever he wishes. So this is actually quite a beautiful thing. He's telling his son, and he says this after suffering so greatly, and he's still clinging to his faith, and he's still a good person at heart. Okay, so Tobit is a wonderful human being. He's a good person that we should seek to emulate. Money, so now to the next part. Money left in trust with Gabriel. So my son, remember my commands, and do not let them be blotted out of your mind. And now let me explain to you about the 10 talents of silver, which are left in trust with Gabriel, the son of Gabias, at Rages in Medea. Do not be afraid, my son, because we have become poor. You have great wealth if you fear God and refrain from every sin and do what is pleasing in his sight. So now he is going to his kinsman who lives in Arabia. Okay. The angel Raphael. So now we get to Raphael's part of the story. Then Tobias answered him, Father, I will do everything that you have commanded me. But how can I obtain the money when I do not know this man? Then Tobit gave him the receipt and said to him, Find a man to go with you, and I will pay him wages as long as I live, and go and get the money. So he went to look for a man and found Raphael, who was an angel. But Tobias did not know it. Tobias said to him, Can you go with me to Rages in Media? Are you acquainted with the region? The angel replied, I will go with you. I am familiar with the way, and I have stayed with our brother Gabal. So now the angel Raphael, right, is telling Tobias, the son of Tobias, that he's telling Tobit's son Tobias that he will accompany him, and they are kinsmen, because this is the way that the angel sees the Israelites. They are his kinsmen, because the Israelites are God's chosen people, not the nation of Israel, the people of God. So the angels see them as the kinsmen. And so now we'll continue on here. That's important to know, because at the end of the day, right, the Christians, the way that we see it, is that we are the true Israel. Okay, we are the branch that was grafted on, and so this is a continuation of the nation that served God. It is now the Christians that are the true Israel. Okay, I know that many people, especially evangelicals, they support the nation state of Israel, and they give a lot of money towards them. But please understand, the Christians are God's chosen people. That is how God blesses the world, through the Christians, not through the nation state of Israel, which is a secular state. Okay, going on with verse 8. And he said to him, Go and do not delay. So he went in and said to his father, I have found someone to go with me. He said, Call him to me, so that I may learn to what tribe he belongs, and whether he is a reliable man to go with you. So father is concerned about his son, and he's obviously very worried about sending him to Arabia, because it was a very dangerous place at the time. So let me just read here. Crypto and silver for the future. So I know Ivo from my crypto days as Foreign's Crypto, but right now I'm just doing live streams for the fun of it. I like to read the Bible, I like to talk about knives, and I like to read the news. I'm not very good at doing lives, unfortunately, because I'm quite shy, and I don't have a lot of experience in doing it. But hopefully as time goes on, I will actually gain a lot of experience in this, and I will be able to be more articulate, and better words will come from my mouth. So do stick with me, guys, till the end. Crypto and silver for the future. I don't actually agree with that. I think cobalt is actually doing quite well. Just my own personal point of view. I think cobalt bottomed out a while back, and so now cobalt will be the thing that's going to be exploding in price. We've seen it go up, and I said this I believe 2 years ago, Ivo. You've seen my post on X. That first crypto will climb in price, and then it's going to be cobalt, because everybody needs cobalt, right? It's used for batteries for these what do they call it, the electronic vehicles, and right now I think that's what's going to explode for the next few years. That's just my advice. Personally, as a former maybe current trader, we don't know. I don't want to give away anything that I'm doing here in the Philippines, but I'm just going to continue reading the Bible, okay, Ivo? Then he said to Tobias, Get ready for the journey. Oh goodness, let me get back into this quickly. So yes, I used to run a crypto channel, and I'm actually I won't say I'm knowledgeable. I know about some things that will do quite well, and in my personal opinion, it will be cobalt and lithium. Let's get here. Okay, so Tobias invited him in, he entered, and then they greeted each other. Then Tobit said to him, My brother, to what tribe and family do you belong? Tell me. But he answered, Are you looking for a tribe and family, or for a man whom you will pay to go with your son? And Tobit said to him, I should like to know, my brother, your people and your name. He replied, I am Anzarias, the son of the great Ananias, one of your relatives. Then Tobit said to him, You're welcome, my brother. Do not be angry with me, because I tried to learn your tribe and family. You are a relative of mine, of a good and noble lineage, for I used to know Ananias and Jathan, the sons of the great Shemaiah, when we went together to Jerusalem. When we went together to to worship and offered the firstborn of our flock and the tithe of our produce. They did not go astray in the error of our brethren. My brother, you come of good stock. But tell me what wages I am to pay to you. A drachma a day, an expense for yourself as for my son. And besides, I will add to your wages if you both return safe and sound. So they agreed to these terms. And so now they're setting out to their journey to go collect the money in Arabia that is owed to Tobias. So I'm going to end it there because I've got about 10 minutes, I've got a little bit of battery life left on my phone and I'm severely cooked right now. This isn't a joke. This redness on my face, that is actually from being burnt alive at about 36 degrees Celsius in this Philippines tropical climate. Okay. So I just want to show my knives in because I really enjoy these knives that I got from my wife as a gift. This is one of my knives that I got recently. I used to have a lovely collection back home in South Africa. I used to actually make knives as a hobby. So I wasn't just into crypto and into studying markets and into studying digital assets and so forth, right? I was also into blacksmithing, and I used to make short swords and I used to make knives, and I really enjoyed it. But I can't do it over here because I've got a daughter and I've got a wife, and they're gonna really complain about the smell, right? But I'm so blessed that for our anniversary, my wife actually saw this and she got it for me, and she was able to get the price down, right? So it was going for 750 pesos, and she negotiated with the people and she got the price down to about 500 pesos, and that alone makes me happy, right? But the quality of this knife is fantastic, and I'm going to compare this to something else that we bought. We bought this in the beginning of the year when I was looking for craftsmen that sell knives, and my mother-in-law felt very guilty for this craftsperson, and she wanted to support her business, and so she bought it from her for 400 pesos. So this is 400 pesos and this is 500 pesos, and we can see the massive difference here, right? It is tremendous. And this one is actually a bit less durable than the one with all the rust, because this is 440 stainless steel and this is some high carbon steel. I'm not sure which one. But now, because we are in a tropical climate, you can see all the rust on this blade that accumulated. This is due to all the humidity. So even when people sweat and stuff and they touch this blade, then it causes rust. And it is very unfortunate that the high carbon steels are so hard to maintain in the Philippines. So my recommendation for anybody in the Philippines is to get a 440 stainless steel blade. It is very durable, okay? Oh, not very, it is durable enough, and it's also rust resistant. You're not going to get any bit of rust on this. Even the rice vendor that we bought this from, he was selling some other blades, and we could see the other blades were rusted a lot, and this is due to all the moisture and the humidity. And this is why I got this one. I saw it and I was like, wow, this is a really nice knife. And my wife was like, okay, we're gonna get this thing. And I was like, okay, how much is it going for? And then she negotiated the price down, and I was just standing by with a smile on my face. So yeah, that's it for now. The battery is about to die on the phone and I need to go cool down. So thank you all for sticking with me, and have a absolutely blessed day. Peace.